more information you have, the better the decisions. Data is crucial to do important decisions in Dota games and even before the Dota game in preparation. It's really cool that a big company like SAP is investing into esports and that I can be a part of it is amazing.
In life, it's important to have backups, but sometimes even those go awry, and you need a backup to your backup, and we're about to see that for Liquid. Ultimately, they have a stand-in at this tournament. That stand-in then falls ill. They're going to have to replace it. Do we know who is replacing Shadow yet?
I have not heard.
Potentially some pretty crazy surprises could happen in that regard, but it is just a crazy situation to be playing against TNC as well, who also is going to have a stand-in. So this is probably the most unpredictable match that we could have, Nahaz.
Yeah, and both stand-ins certainly have had their struggles. Shadow was definitely up and down in the first couple series that we saw from Liquid in the group phase as they got pretty thoroughly hammered in their second series. And Rior has not, he's been up and down as well for TNC in that offlane position.
Yeah, I mean, coming into this one, it is very hard to predict. We're definitely going to take a look at what these teams have done so far at the CQ Major. And TNC going to be a little bit easier to call here, to say the least, because we don't know what Liquid's going to be bringing yet.
I mean, we saw yesterday Virtus.pro playing with their coach, so maybe Roman is going to be the one standing in. That's their coach for Team Liquid.
Yeah, there's some potential there. That's how unpredictable it is, right? We've seen stand-ins already. We've seen stand-ins win. We've seen stand-ins already secure top 3 placement, right? So ultimately, we know that a team in this situation can still grab a W, but it's not going to be easy at all. But let's talk about how these teams made it here in the lower portion of the bracket to even go head-to-head in the first place. What does Liquid's tournament look like with Shadow thus far?
Again, I think it's just up and down has been the order of the day. Even in the wins that we've seen from them, they haven't necessarily been super convincing. I mean, you saw them open the tournament with a 2-1 victory over Pango, a team that went home bottom 4 here.
And I do want to take a deeper look at this lower portion of the bracket and even move away from our matchup for just a second here to kind of observe what has gone down. That EG versus VG matchup definitely going to be very exciting. Whoever does win that going to play against eHome, and we also have LGD waiting. So some scary teams are still here in the lower portion of the bracket, and we already do know that VP and Secret going to be those most dominant teams that we have on the upper portion of the bracket, and we're really getting down to the wire here. We're going to have that top 8 after this matchup, Liquid and TNC. Wow. The winner plays against Fnatic.
Second straight major that we're going to see VP versus Secret in the winner's bracket final, and potentially setting up a rematch of the grand final of the last tournament. And you just have to ask, right, who in that lower bracket, because we're starting to see some elite teams there, EG and Vici being a great example, who is going to get right and possibly challenge?
Yeah, getting right and actually straightening out some of the errors that we've seen at this major could be the key factor there to determine who is going to make it out of the lower bracket. But also, I think you can be somewhat happy if you're those teams in the lower portion of the bracket with exactly what you said, Nahaz. You have the same teams taking the majority of the points already, being in that top 3. So already getting here to this point, if you can make it to the top 8, you're starting to get in that area where those DPC points really do kick it up a notch in value. It does start to scale very quickly. But let's also talk about TNC. This is the team, Lacoste, that they're going to be playing with the same stand-in. So what do you expect to see from TNC?
Well, TNC definitely had more time to prepare their gameplay around the stand-in as well. TNC has some flaws, but some of their strengths is they love to play aggressive. They play good around the rune times. We're going to see some clashes every 5 minutes. They like to go for those and then take objectives. So definitely, I don't follow that much of SCA Tier 2 Dota because I'm kind of never assigned to it. So I'm always just watching TNC and Fnatic.
Yeah, and the main thing, though, I will say with TNC right now as well, TNC, if they do go for that aggressive play style with a team that maybe hasn't had as much time to gel, that could be their ticket to move right on through to play against Fnatic.
Well, I think this is just going to be, this series in general is going to be a brutal matchup for the two players that are playing in those stand-in positions. When you talk about Armel, for my money, he is TNC's best player. I mean, this guy, he came up in SEA Tier 2 playing a lot of like unusual mids. He played a lot of like mid Venomancer, but all of a sudden he got to the big stage playing on those Tier 1 teams, and his mid TA, his mid SF, it's as good as anybody's. Like, this guy is legit, and he would ordinarily be facing off against typically Miracle for Liquid in the mid lane. So the question is, how are they going to deal with him in the 1v1 matchups mid? And then Mind Control, who basically everybody on Liquid will tell you is their best player, he's potentially going to be in that offlane matchup against Rior.
It's so hard to choose Liquid's best player. I mean,
I agree.
this is the team that has so many strengths, and they have their key to the victory missing, I would say. But I really wouldn't be surprised if they just play with their coach, and Roman has been playing position 5, and Kuroki can just adapt to whatever it's needed.
Yeah,
Like
Kuroki
he's
can
been,
play carry, sure.
He's been playing whatever it's needed for every single role.
Yeah, I
No,
guess
when
we
they
still
founded
want-
Team Secret, Kuro started off as the one position player and was considered for at least half a season or so one of the top carries in Dota at that time.
and goes all the way back to day one. You talk about the strength of this team. You can take out one piece and they should still be able to field something that can get work done. Black and God said it time and time again. We saw Liquid prove that. And then when they were getting better with Shadow, all of a sudden we saw them kicking it up a notch in each and every matchup. But of course, Shadow, as we did mention, will not be playing today.
Is that confirmed?
Do we know that?
That's to what I know, yes.
Okay,
but
okay.
This is a matchup of secrets. Not
Gotcha.
see, I actually just read secret off the screen. This is a matchup of surprises. We are not 100% sure what we are going to see from them yet. And we're probably going to find out as soon as we jump into the draft. I haven't heard any word from production yet, but Liquid going for a pretty good run here. The one team that did give them some problems being Secret. Shadow is playing. Production just hopped in my ear right now.
Okay.
Shadow has made it back, so that is a huge surprise to us.
That's a comeback.
That
And is he going to be at 100% though? That's the other question.
we saw solo play and not 100%. We already talked about that a little bit earlier as well. And then all of a sudden, when we do see them VP field their coach, it looks like night and day. They looked even stronger, so that could be an issue if Shadow isn't feeling well.
I think the only problem that they're facing is communication. Yeah, you can play by the feeling, but some of the things you need to explain. So Team Liquid will have to adapt again. Just pick him an easy hero so that he can either play in maybe 1v1 scenario. Or it's hard to try lane. I mean, sometimes you just see spell going out and then you follow, but sometimes it's just bigger than that. You need to actually have a communication if they're not on the same page.
Well, and as the game goes on, so often you hear teams talk about the fact that as the game gets late, your one position will very often become your default shot caller because the guy with the most farm is saying, look, I feel strong or I don't want to take this. How does that play in? I think less than it would be usually because the games have been so fast, but it's a concern if they do go late.
So let's just wipe the slate clear for a second here and say that some of these factors that are so hard to predict aren't in the equation.
Okay.
Liquid would be your favorite in this one, Naz, correct?
I mean, full strength Liquid against full strength teams. Full strength Liquid, I will still take at least even with anybody and over all but 2 teams.
Okay. And now with TNC, it is going to be tricky, but would you say that this team, with what we currently are looking at, which is a very tricky situation, do they have a better shot of going for a deep run in this tournament?
I would still give Team Liquid a better chance, maybe 60-40, but I expect this to go game 3, definitely.
Yeah. Volatile
because,
matchup for
yeah,
sure.
I think matchup's going to be even. TNC's drafting was fine. I don't think they lost the drafts, and that was not the issue, just some decision making throughout the mid game and shot calling, I would say.
Yeah, and this is one where we're kind of waiting to see what does happen in the draft, just as everybody is, because it's just a pretty crazy scenario all in all, and not something that I've really encountered in all of my years of watching. How often does something like this really pop up, Naz?
Not often, especially not only at an event of this magnitude, but again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but 40% of the season's over after this.
Yeah.
This is a huge event, and when you look at a team like Liquid, who runs the risk after this event of falling out of the top 4 in the first 2 of only 5 majors of the season, you know, that's a pretty huge upset.
Yeah, I mean, just to talk about those points for a brief second, because I have mentioned already the fact that we have some of the top performers from that first major once again performing very well
Right.
and grabbing the huge amount of points. How high do you need to see a team like Liquid getting to start feel comfortable? Is top 8
Well,
that fall off point?
No, so I mean, yeah, you obviously want to be top 8, but we're gonna have a similar situation DPC points wise to last year, where the threshold that you need to mathematically secure a spot at TI right now is right around 6K points. Okay, so Virtus Pro is actually mathematically in. Secret is very, very close, but you're going to, like last year, see teams like Virtus Pro, who are already basically in, continue to pile up points. They're not going to take their foot off the gas. Nobody wants to sacrifice momentum. So the actual threshold is probably going to be closer to like 2K points, especially given that there are 12 teams available. So when you talk about, a top 4 at a major this season likely gets you into TI.
Okay, so top 4 already just looks like one of those situations where you can say, okay, we're still going to come out to the other tournaments. We're still going to try to grab these points. But if we see things play out the way that we did last year, top 4 may be enough to do it. But we look at this bracket, there's still a lot of potential for these teams to be going for that position. That's why I do start to ask, which of these two teams do you favor more out of these to go deep? And it seems like Liquid still has a lot of your confidence.
Yeah, I mean, I think TNC, again, they have a high ceiling, particularly if they play around Armel, but I think TNC is the second best team in their region.
Okay, very fair. And we're about to be getting in the draft here, and I think that everything's just getting situated with what exactly has gone down here. We've been surprised on the desk quite a few times already, and I'm very excited to see how this match actually does play out. It's very, very difficult to call, and I think a few of the things that we can look to is some of the picks that we've seen from these teams in the past. You talk about the play style that you already do expect from TNC. What heroes back that up?
Oh, they love to run Magnus as a first pick as well. They high Lich is also one of their top picks, which is, I'm not surprised. Like this hero just brings so much to the table. Team fighting, the anti-physical damage hero.
Does Liquid have any telling picks that we should be expecting to see based off
It's so hard to predict what Team Liquid is going to pick. They
Yeah.
have variety of the heroes. The only fetish that they have is green heroes, so I'm expecting at least 2 of green heroes.
At least 2 green heroes. Well, we're going to be finding out shortly. The draft is finally ready, and we are seeing these initial bans coming out. And once again, Shadow going to be in his seat. We're going to get to see what Shadow can do for Team Liquid. Potentially feeling a little bit under the weather here. We got updated very close to the draft getting started that he actually was going to be able to play. And, you don't want to have to play the stand-in for your stand-in.
Yeah, I want to go back to the Lacoste point because I think that's been something we've talked about as the tournament has gone on, how the first phase meta has been very condensed around a small set of heroes. Liquid has picked 6 different heroes in the first phase in the last 3 drafts. They've been one of the few teams that has kept that variety open even early on in the draft. Big question I was going to ask, will they let the Wisp through? Because that's something Liquid with GH will first phase. TNC do take that out. Big question still on the table to me as well is how does Liquid value the Keeper of the Light? Because that had been one of GH's absolute signature heroes, best Keeper of the Light in Dota 2 history by a mile, but that hero very, very different after the rework, much more cooldown dependent.
I was wondering about Keeper of the Light, if they want to pick it. They picked him before. It looks good. I don't think other teams are playing that much of a Keeper of the Light. Kind of squishy, has no escape, but Ignis Faris, man, what a spell. So what do we have here? Elder Titan gone, Dazzle gone. That's kind of surprising. I think a lot of teams are just not picking Dazzle anymore, even though they have a chance.
Who picks Tusk and who picks Lich?
Yeah, it kind of comes down to that.
Or does one team want to go for the 4-position Magnus in the first
Grimstrokes
phase?
in the pool. But I feel like
There's the
this
Tusk.
hero
Tusk
is
and
just
maybe
so good. Opens up the Roche.
Oh, Tusk is. I think, to me, Tusk is I think he's my top-ranked hero in Dota right now. If I have to pick a first overall pick in a draft in a vacuum, Tusk is going to be my pick almost every time, over Lich.
And there's still Magnus and PA in the pool. We've seen Liquid opening with this kind of a draft in this tournament, and TNC just loves to run mag.
But I think I think if you want to open mag, I think you can open Lich mag. I don't think you need to open mag PA. Like PA is a great hero, don't get me wrong, but there are other cores that synergize well with the Magnus, and I just don't think you want to give Tusk Lich
Beastmaster
to any
still in
team.
the pool.
Okay, this is again. Liquid there's the keeper that we talked about for GH. Liquid has had a little bit of a problem in this tournament with Kuro's position. They've picked a lot of 5-position Sven, 5-position Grimstroke, and Kuro, as we all know, plays like a very hard 5, plays like a position 6. These are heroes that they need at least a little bit in the way of items. Like Grimstroke eventually needs that Aether Lens. Sven eventually needs to tank up a little bit. When they're very poor, they can struggle in that mid-game phase.
Right.
I'm looking at the Team Liquid's lineup. That's a lot of physical damage mitigation, Warcry, Blinding Light. Kunkka relies on
Magic.
Yeah, I mean, he's both magic and physical, but I'm not surprised that they went for Kunkka. It gives you a good... okay, so they're banning out Monkey King against Kunkka, one of the worst matchups that he can get, even though I saw Kunkka's winning that matchup, especially with rotations from position 4. But Ram is so good from Kunkka.
So what does Kunkka offer? Before we saw the Monkey King, you were starting to bring up all of the things that this hero can provide to TNC. So Lacoste, why do you like this pick?
I mean, Kunkka in general is a strong laner and team fighting potential with the boat again, and he has a good catch, good split push if you want to use X mark on someone just to bring him back, clear the wave. These heroes are kind of squishy. Keeper of the Light just dies to a combo if he gets caught by an X mark.
Yeah.
Also, they banned out OD.
And it's a playmaking hero, right? It's
Yeah.
like we were talking about for one of the drafts for Ori. It's just a hero that can win its lane, and it's not going to win its lane and just fall back and farm. It's going to win its lane and continue to make plays. And it also means, you know, when you see a second phase Terrorblade, right, now you need to start worrying about having magical damage. Well, you already have the basis for that in Kunkka, and if you end up picking like something like a Luna, like if you pick a Luna and she goes early aura points, she gets that rum buff, everybody's just so tanky on your team. I cannot believe that Lich survived to the second phase.
Oh, this is really strong opening from TNC. 3 heroes
Wow.
on their side. I'm really liking it so far.
Wow.
TNC getting all the pieces falling in their lap. Team Liquid now has to respond.
I think we might see Timbersaw
Sure.
in this game.
Armel
Static
Timber
damage,
is
yeah, on
legit
the
as
side
hell.
of Team Liquid so far, but they need to pick a laner against the Kunkka. It definitely means that this Kunkka is going to be core with Lich and Tusk, so they could pick a matchup. And it's also a good pick for them if they want to go. OD is out of the pool. Is Centaur still?
Yeah,
Yes,
Centaur's still in the pool.
Centaur.
Darkseer is still in the pool. You got Tidehunter. I like how open TNC's draft is at this point. I mean, you with these 3 Liquid heroes, especially once the Terrorblade comes on board, you know exactly where all 3 heroes are going to be role-wise, right? Liquid has to pick a mid and has to pick. I guess Sven could be off lane.
Yeah.
But mid and off lane are almost certainly going to be your last 2 picks here for Liquid.
Kind of wanted to trigger Lacoste, but I backed off for a second. He looked like so focused. I was like, couldn't the Sven carry?
No, please God, no.
I mean, yeah, dude, come on. Sven carry support Terrorblade. Let's go.
We've seen
Something to trigger Lacoste.
position 4.
We have seen
Terrorblades,
position 4 TB. It was
you can do whatever you want in Dota.
Yeah,
And you can lose that game as well.
yeah. It's not something that we talk about in polite company, okay, Rich? I know you're new. We need to make allowances here.
All right, TNC, their draft looking
Man.
so open.
Liquid, less than 20 seconds of reserve time burned going into this pick.
Maybe they're thinking about, maybe they love to pick Pagna. Pagna could work, so that means it's core Sven, it's position 3 Sven, and then they're gonna save the last hero for mid. Yeah,
They have run position 3 Undying before. I tend to agree, but
Sven just does it better.
I agree. That's true. That's true. When you look at the overlap between the two heroes, Undying, and again, that's the issue that I mentioned. I've seen Kuro playing a lot of heroes that need at least a little bit of farm in that mid game, and he just doesn't usually get that. Undying, you don't need any items. There's your Timber Saw. Good call. It's a huge threat to a hero like TV.
Oh man, the Timber Saw pick looks so good.
Little question in my mind. I guess that's going to be what a Gabby.
It's probably mid Kunkka, and they're gonna
safe lane Timber.
Yeah, but they want to have Timber in 1v1 scenario and just run a tri lane Morphling. That's a good counter.
Sure, and once you start talking about these tri lanes, it matters less and less exactly which lane it is, right? You saw in the first game of the last series, you saw ISSI started solo on the safe lane.
And TNC is already in a better position. If they force a tri lane, you have a Timber Saw against melee hero like a Sven. Sven usually does fine against the melee heroes, but not against Timber.
I think it's okay. Like, Undying is very strong, but yeah, the Coddle is going to be... You got 2 strength heroes and an extremely squishy Coddle, potentially in that tri lane against the Timber. Yeah.
I do want to ask really quickly here as we start to move into the reserves time for TNC. What shifted that we're starting to see so much Undying? We see Liquid decide to use it here.
He's green. That's why.
It never went away. The one thing I will flag is you see the Pugna ban here. TNC do need tower damage. They need something like, Visage is not probably the ideal pick here, but they do need something that's going to bring that tower hitting. Kunkka is not the ideal pusher.
And Lacoste, they got rid of the Pugna here because it's green, right?
Oh, that as well, yeah. I mean,
you really are getting, Rich, I give you a ton of credit. You really are getting into this Dota stuff. Yeah. You got this, man.
I figured it out.
Pugna would have been a good pick for Team Liquid, as I mentioned before, but TNC, they need a hero that fits the tri lane. Maybe even just grab a PA. It's not that bad.
Okay.
You can one-shot Keeper of the Light. Has high armor, forces this TB to buy an MKB, which he usually does not like.
I still think
they're having so much fun.
Trial. I mean, what? Like, I still like the Lich, Tusk, and Visage trial lane here.
Visage sounds better because like you have 2 melee heroes against an Undying and the TB. That doesn't feel good. Also, Keeper of the Light, which is gonna be a blast. Okay. So yeah,
that's your other. I actually like that a bit better than the PA here. Again, Jug loses. He loses the 1v1 in the team fight matchup to a lot of the other agi carries, but he feels so powerful to me in this meta in a lineup where you're confident in your lanes and you're confident in the ability of your team to just play on the enemy side of the map. He has so much sustain, pushes towers so well, and they don't really have. Now that Sunder doesn't go through BKB, they don't have much of a BKB breaker on the side of Liquid. Well, there's your Razor.
This is good. I like Razor pick. There's not too many options that were left in the pool for Team Liquid to pick. They needed a hero against the Timber Saw. He usually just likes to run in, be in the front line. And it's also I'm a Timberman kind of comfort pick.
I tell you what it does, though. It also is a recognition by Liquid how much invested TNC has in the laning phase with this draft, that Razor is going to allow Liquid to respond in kind with aggression in the lanes. I like that a lot. I think that was probably the best pick on the board for them.
Right, and that is a very good feeling to have in a scenario like this. I've already made you guys try to predict, but now we don't have to predict anymore. We can finally find out who is going to take this, Liquid or TNC.
Yeah, of course. Who needs panels to predict? They're always wrong anyway. Kyle, predict.
Oh. Well,
you don't have to.
Shadow's definitely the most fashionable Terrorblade in Dota 2 right now.
We're going to look at it when we get inside the game.
Yeah, so I'm just so distracted by it. It's like I've never seen the color scheme before. But anyway, in the game itself, same concern. You don't really have the greatest answer to Timbersaw, but Razor against Jug and all these melee heroes, especially Kunkka, very susceptible to just tanking a full link and find yourself in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I am interested to see like how well the Razor plays off. It's one of these heroes that we saw a lot during the minor, just tanking through everything that was thrown at him. I'm interested to see also the build that comes in from Matumberman. Like, do you go for this early hood? Actually, before we do that, JJ, request, can we get perspective mode on the Terrorblade?
Wow.
He looks absolutely
Dude, so
boss.
he's got the Champions Green gem in
Yep.
the Arcana head slot, which I guess you can use if you're a TI winner. Makes sense.
Sure. Gotta remember, 5 TI winners up against 5 non-TI winners. Who's got the credibility in this series? Then again, TNC, like they're no mugs. Like I was doubting them a little bit, and then you were giving me a lot of reasons, like just re-examine TNC. They are good players.
I think they're favored in this series, and I think that they're favored in this game.
Even with the stand-in for TNC, this is stand-in versus stand-in.
That's true. That's a good point. I always forget about that. I feel like Miracle is harder to replace than Cuckoo, especially considering Shadow like you can't really communicate with Shadow as Team Liquid.
Yeah, we saw it being posted up as well. This communication between Kuro and Shadow of just like, do you want this hero? Do you not want this hero? This is the levels they have to go to with hand signals. No engagements at the very, very beginning. It's actually starting off as dual lane versus dual lane. Yeah. Very, very passive beginning to this series.
Yeah, and I will say, though, I like what Crow chose to do. When you have a stand-in, simplify the game. And this is your ideal 4-1 scenario. Terrorblade's going to have a free game to farm. Shadow, once you hit that certain point in the mid-game, he'll know what to do intuitively, and Liquid will be able to play around him. What are you dancing?
To the conker tune. It's wonderful. Absolutely love it. GH is looking to be a pain in the button to pull the lane off to the side, so we're actually having this small little run that we keep seeing a lot of teams doing. It's this, we're taking the off lane and we're putting him into the safe lane and just let the supports take the lane in the meantime. Also, to flag my controllers, this event worked out better for them in the draft, but it's one of the very few course events we actually get to see.
Yep. I like it as a 3. As a 1, not so much, but in the off-lane role, it's quite nice. And I like how Liquid chose to draft because you're looking at the 3 heroes TNC selected. Lich, Tusk, Kunkka. There's no offlaner left in the pool that really felt great, so why not just take the Sven, then pick a 5 support for Kuro that has excellent matchups against all 3 of those heroes.
Yep. And Kuro already starting off with the double decays. They realize there's an aggressive tri-lane here from TNC, so GH even leaves the lane. So there's no harassment at the Timbersaw that GH can really provide. This isn't a Mana Leak like Keeper of the Light anymore, but it's actually kind of cool once he hits level 2, he can actually start to buff up Undying. And the other synergy that we've been watching with the Keeper of the Light, you continuously use Chakra and you get the cooldown reduction for the Terrorblade. So Metamorphosis comes up a lot faster. Here comes the push from TNC. They'll go straight into the Illuminate. Gabby, as well as Tim, taking a lot of damage, but Shadow takes more. He will fall. Gabby trying to run out. Kuro actually stole 24 strength, so he's hitting real hard against Gabby with the Illuminate. GH and Kuro get some revenge. It's 85 damage that Kuro does per hit. He'll back off for the moment.
This is a terrifying support duo to try and aggro into. The combination of the Strength Steal with that massive damage from the Coddle Blast. Yeah, you'll be able to find kills, but...
They're going again. Tims wants to really stay on top of Shadow. While Metamorphosis is down, he wants to fight, but there's the Coddle Blast again, connecting into Tims and Gabby. Kuro is just getting really up in the face of Ninja Boogie. He's got stick charges available with the help of GH. One more decay, and then the run. They got him. They actually get the kill on the Lich. He was down to almost... He had 272 life, but Shadow's up too far once again. But right now, we're turning this into the Undying Core. He runs in after the Tusker. Tusker will get into the trees and be able to salve up. But this really, like, it's like I'm looking at a new 3 Undying.
Yeah, well, that was 100% on Shadow. He found himself in melee range. Tusk and Jug were able to auto-attack him before snowballing forwards and getting this full spin damage off. Like, you're going to die when you take that initial damage. And another mistake by the stand-in.
Yeah. Keep in mind, too, like, we're looking at Shadow's face before this game began, and it still looks like he's sweating a little bit. He got out of hospital, but he's not back at full strength. You know that. Like, it still takes recovery time. So just got to get back into the groove. Probably didn't get to play any Dota while he was there. They've got to get a computer into the... It's like, hey, Chinese hospitals now equipped with Dota 2 on all PCs.
That'd be an interesting setup for the future. Yeah, no, LAN center like combined with the hospital.
Well, there's all these esports like centers being created. It's like we're gonna create our own like ward inside of it. Not that we're saying players get sick all the time, that you require a ward in an esports center. How's the other lanes looking? Like, we're looking at top lane a hell of a lot because it's been very, very aggressive. Matumba's 16-4 against a 21-2 of Kunkka. That's not bad considering the amount of damage that Kunkka normally has as an advantage. GH is actually in trouble. We've got the Frost Shield onto Tim's as Kuro, never mind, he'll dissuade them. And they're even trying to dodge the Coddle Blast again, but Ninja Boogie walks into it. And then the last lane is down on bottom. Timbersaw, 27 for 5. You've got Sven, up to 30 for 1. Mind Control going for 3 points in the Great Cleave to ensure he can mop up these waves quickly.
Yeah, and this is the one downside of the Razor pick into the Kunkka, that it's a good matchup, sure, but Kunkka just kind of beats everything.
Oh, they're going again. GH needs some space, but Shadow has Metamorphosis available. Looks to turn his damage into Gabby, who will start his spin. Kuro, oh, what more have you got? He's still got Sora. If he can get a little bit more life back. Illumina, he wants to be aggressive into Gabby instead. The snowball forward. GH is low, and maybe they have enough damage with the tag team, but no, GH gets onto the other side of the tree lines. Shadow slowed down by the Frost Blast, but Kuro, he commits into the Tombstone. TNC just walk away. They wanted this fight for the 5-minute bounty runes.
You can see the indecision the way Liquid's playing this tri lane, though. I mean, Shadow missed a couple auto attacks. Kuro saves the tomb, then he drops the tomb late. It just, they are not the Liquid we would usually see. The coordination is just not at that level.
It's the difficulty in communication, that's all. Like, that's the hardest thing for them. But so far, it's still pretty even. There's less than 1,000 net worth advantage for TNC. The experience hasn't even really pushed outside the 200 mark. So everything's very close across all the lanes. It's a interesting Frost Shield, feels very early. Liquid are already just backing up. But they're running out of sustain on the top lane, even with the Chakra magic. Like, they can push back the top lane, but they can't continue to fight.
I really like how Mind Control's playing this lane, because Timber crushes Sven in a 1v1, but he's just back laning, farming camps. He's using his ult off cooldown. Like, this is the way you play off lane in this patch in an unfavorable matchup. It's just really, really intelligent.
I even like this too. The fact that they've sent Shadow to the jungle. They don't want him involved in these fights. They don't want him involved in the lane while you have your Metamorphosis on cooldown. So Undying, he'll try and survive underneath the tower. As much damage into Tim's, who'll dodge it with the snowball. Soul Rip from Kuro, needs to keep the distance, moving into the trees, but okay, Tim's just has that range. GH will get revenge. But remember, this is an aggressive tri-lane from TNC that's being held back by a Keeper of the Light and Undying. That's very problematic.
Yeah, this is still fine if you're TNC, though. I think that you're comfortable with your draft, and you're going to hit this point in the mid-game before the Razor has a BKB, where any X in a few rotations will find kills incredibly consistently.
GH is dead. They waited for Juggernaut to be in range for the spin before they let the Frost Blast of Ninja Boogie go.
Bottom lane?
Yeah, Timbersaw. Gonna work with the Tuskar to try and bring down Mind Control. You've got the Warcry. They have stuns available, and that's the reason why Mind Control just doesn't TP away from this. He understands it. He's just got to juke him up. A Stormbolt is available, and maybe on the back of that, no, he only stuns the Timbersaw. Coming closer to the Ancient Prowlers, cannot get in range. And now they'll just Efficiency Shrine with Armel.
Yeah, you're still feeling good if you're TNC, though. The Timbersaw is nigh uncountered in this game. Sure, you could tank a Link to the face, but really, Liquid have no way to take out your hero. And I look forward to Rior most likely itemizing for some damage output, because I like the double bracer. I think this is actually a pretty good Holy Locket game, too. It's very difficult for anyone on Liquid to pick up a Spirit Vessel early on. The Sven could do it, but otherwise it's, what, the Coddle? It's not really an item you're looking to buy. You got to go Force Staff and usually into that Blink Refresher if you're GH.
Yeah. Interesting scan from TNC. They did it behind the top tier 1 tower. There's only 2 heroes up. It's the Tuskar who's looking for a fight in mid with a double damage rune. But as the 8-minute rune looks to spawn, Matumba checks top. It's not going to be there. It's down on bottom. So he gets up in the face of Armel, steals a decent amount of damage, but nothing to do with it. X marks a spot. They'll try and turn it around. With the ship combination, Tuskar Snowball coming in too, but Kuro available, got the level 1 Soul Rip, needs to give some life over to Matumba, who wants to stand his ground. There goes the Soul Rip, back up again. And Kunkka, careful of the cleave. Distance was there for Matumba, and he's actually going to go down and pick up that rune. And they'll shrine up themselves.
Yeah, Shadow still, I mean, he's farming Ancients now, but traditionally as a Terrorblade, you don't want to be rotating to jungle until you're level 4, level 5 with a couple of Wraith Bands. He went at level 3 with 0. And Oof.
You know, normally I'd say that's a bad thing, but Keeper of the Light getting farm in this current meta, that's actually probably a really good thing. He's getting a lot of
true.
early levels, the counter push from TNC, and this is where I beg the question. Yes, Timbersaw can't be countered, but can you force down lanes with what everything else they've got? Can Juggernaut do it?
It's a good point, because Coddle is excellent at that. If we were to see, if this was a Lich, if this was an Oracle, this was effectively any other hero in the meta right now but Coddle, this top tower is most likely already dead. But GH doing a great job, also accelerating, as you said, and this is just the Liquid, you know, the Kuro genius, just keeping his towers alive. And
GH needs to help out. I don't know what he can really do. Shadow he just hit level 6. He can Sunder if he has a little bit more time. Now he can look around. Yep, he Sunders over on Armel, but Tubman will TP into the shard block from Tims. It keeps the rest of Liquid away, so Mind Control has to do the chase through the river to find the kill. Tims is already happy. He's taunting as he's going to die. He knows he's dead. They want the kill into Shadow. They'll give it to Matumberman. And Armel is capable of escaping, but it's only because of the sacrifice made by Tims.
That was well played by Shadow. He was dead. Treads came out on the courier. He immediately swaps to strength. That's plus 14 strength, Toby. That is 280 health. Plus the wand charges. Well played on the response.
And this is when you start seeing more runes coming in. Mind Control's item build, by going for this bottle, he's able to have so much more sustain in the lanes, and his rotations count even more when they get these victories, and then the runes as well. He's actually sitting at the top net worth for Team Liquid. It is not Shadow. He's well behind. But the top 3 net worth still belong to pretty much TNC. Mind Control is just sitting on the edge of it.
Yeah, I like what they've done here, though. Mind Control is now at a point where he's strong enough, level 10, he can deal with the Juggernaut. He can't lane against Timbersaw, so they swap GH down there to ensure that somebody is slowing down the progress. They don't want another scenario like Fnatic.
Like Ice.
Exactly.
There's that fight again where Shadow was able to get it off with the perfect shard block.
Really fortuitous level 6 as well.
We're back live. Oh, he does not want GH holding this one back. Armel's going to arrive. The Frost Shield's up. 4 heroes from TNC. They've taken the Tier 1 tower on bottom, and while you wanted to avoid the whole situation where you lost Tier 1 and Tier 2 tower within the first 10 minutes, it's still pretty much close to happening the same way. Stormbolt up on top. Kuro wants to fight. Tombstone being dropped, but Matumba, can they actually catch up to the Timbersaw? His mana's low. Soaring will give him a little bit more. He's going to chain back down. No! He misses the chain. He'll stay with the rest of Liquid. Now you can drop the ship. It'll hurt a lot, but then again, Warcry negated a large portion of that damage. The Tombstone is brought down. They'll get the... Actually, no! Kunkka denies the top tower. Good money. Protected by TNC.
Yeah, and I like the skill build from Matumba, man. Their magic damage is still a bit low, but with that max unstable current build, that's 120 AoE magic damage around you every 3 seconds. And you can see, with the combination of the Undying Current health damage, they do have a bit of that magic DPS. So Rio not quite as tanky as he thought he was, although he did also have 2,000 gold when he teleported top. I think a Hood, a Holy Locket, anything really, he probably survives there.
You get a little sad when you don't see the efficiency.
Yeah, I mean, you don't collect interest on gold. We are not playing Dota chess. This is real Dota, and there's usually not a benefit to keeping extra in your inventory.
I've only got 50 gold. That's all I need before I get my interest. That's right. We know the game.
It's still tight. I mean, Liquid's played quite well. I like that they pushed the top tower, but the Shadow was just farming jungle that entire time.
This bottom lane's really good. Gabby knew that GH is going to try and push it out, but he can't. He actually doesn't have the movement speed. There's not this injection of speed that you get from something like Phase Boots. He's Treads double Wraith, but he's going quickly into Battle Fury, or is he stopping halfway?
He might. Yeah,
he's sicky about the Yasha before Battle Fury.
Yeah. I would have liked Yasha before Battle Fury, but now that you have the Demon Edge, I think it's too late.
Well, bottom lane, there's a Juggernaut TP out. All that bonus damage that he had, the 42 damage, was actually just given to the Razor. Mid lane is also being dived by Timbersaw, but it's top lane. They want the kill on Mind Control. Warcry. So much extra life turns for the Stormbolt. Armel's lost that extra protection. Meanwhile, Kuro was trying to TP in, killed off by the Timbersaw in the mid lane. And Tuskar wants to fight more. X marks the spot. Chain Frost coming off cooldown right now. They are ready to throw it into this Ven, but Keeper of the Light, Illuminate flies forward. It connects into the creep wave, so they won't have a lot of support. And the Ignis trying to give Mind Control that more space. He's got the 21 charges. The Chain Frost is now worn off, even going to bounce down towards GH. And Mind Control, one more attack. He actually gets the kill into Ninja Boogie in the blinding light. It makes it so difficult for them to actually get the proper punch forward. Mind Control just lives so much, but the Snowball will finally put him down. Even with the Coddle Blast from GH, he can't do enough. He can chakra up, but it's just not enough life. While mid lane, Gabby and Rior, they have not let up on this push.
Interesting. I'm actually not sure what damage type Unstable Current is, because it's not listed. I've never seen that before. Just, it says ability, passive area damage. It doesn't tell you what type it is, even when you ult it. That's weird. Code that, please. Because it looked like it was physical. It did next to nothing to the Timbersaw, but...
Well, you know how to get that stuff into Dota.
Actually,
you gotta throw up a Reddit thread. That's the only way.
It might function as like an auto attack. I have no idea. Mechanics are weird. Looking good for TNC though. Nice engagement. They're the ones killing towers, and that's key. You want to shut down Shadow's ability to rat the map, and they are the mid-game lineup. This is about the time where they become unstoppable. Not unstoppable, but you know, the ones that can play with aggression for sure. And if you're Liquid, you're going to do what you do best. GH, Shadow, farm the waves, slow the game down, bring this to the late game where the Terrorblade can truly shine.
I love how they have in their quick chat wheels, like, check runes, please. This is the 15-minute mark. Both the bounties on bottom should be picked up by Liquid, but they're finishing pushing the tower first. This is Terrorblade being part of the push. This is going to be the second tier 1 tower that Liquid will claim, but the casualties have been so high. The tier 2 tower is the next target on top lane for TNC, and that would only leave one tier 2 tower left, which is in mid, and they're actually already on top of that thanks to the pushing from Timbersaw.
Yep, they're doing a really great job of splitting the map. It looks like a Crimson Guard will be the item choice for Rior. Not bad when you're up against two of these high physical damage cores. Really nice for your team as well up against the Terrorblade. He gets Yo's full drain from a Tubba Man.
Yeah, Rior would just timber chain himself away from this. I'm loving too the aggressive warding that has come down. There's 2 Observer Wards just watching the edge of the base of Liquid. They cannot leave the base without TNC knowing about it.
Look, it's
They
nice.
root on Timbersaw, however, may make this a little bit more fun to battle as Kuro triggers up the ultimate. The Chain Frost will not bounce. Ninja Boogie is low. The ship, it does connect on both Razor as well as Undying, but that's why they send him up and towards the air, and Ninja Boogie hits the deck. It's the Razor. Eul Scepter and Static Link, a great combination if you're looking for that max damage to get out.
It was,
They actually put 3 Observer Wards.
yeah, and a 4th as well near the bottom Dire Shrine
it's like
area.
1,
so
2, and they're just this perfect cover on the side.
it's good vision for sure, but it's very difficult to utilize properly because it requires you to play so aggressively on the Liquid side of the map. So TNC, if you want to punish this, you got to keep up the aggression, look to make some plays. You have a Kunkka with a Shadow Blade. You're ready to go, but feels like Jug, he's still not quite online. He's got the Battle Fury. He wants some more time to continue farming.
Yep. Same time, like, you're getting items the other way. Both teams have things to play with. This advantage that feels like TNC has. Like,
This is very much anybody's game.
yeah.
It's a play. I think the vision from TNC is solid. They have a good idea of what they want to do here. They're going to have a hard time taking objectives just because the Liquid map presence is so strong. This is the best team in the world at mirroring, at watching you go bottom as they run top, and vice versa. And that's what we're going to see them continue to try and do.
It's just the forcing of the issue is the question mark I have. Like, going into the Coddle Blast, the fact you even have Sven almost affording a Blink Dagger. Like, Team Liquid have their own initiation, and they're buying time for Shadow. Terrorblades and PAs, these heroes which we've seen have really, really crappy early games, but then they get this 10-minute space of free farm to allow items to catch up. He's practically finished a Manta style. In fact, he has finished the Manta style on the Terrorblade. But TNC, this is a great move from them. Into Roshan, pick up the Aegis Immortal. It's the insurance for the fight to come.
And the most important part is that they're doing it while showing in 2 waves as they shove them. Bottom's all the way at the tier 3, mid is at the tier 2. This is a much safer way to do Roche than to just walk in and 5-man it willy-nilly.
Yeah, and they know everything. You see him back out, it's because those 3 Observer Wards they had saw Liquid's movement. Now, Liquid were farming up inside the jungle. They weren't looking to try and take Roshan. because they didn't have the items they needed. Manda has only just been delivered. Blink is now only just on Sven. And they will have to look to have a good fight against TNC, and TNC will oblige. Four-man smoke up, looking for the engagement.
Yeah, and it's the same thing we saw Fnatic do. You bait the Timbersaw. It's the right play. It's just a little risky. You want to make sure that Matumbaman doesn't get a huge link off. He has a Yul's Yasha, but he's very squishy. Incredibly mobile, but if he catches an X, he's in trouble.
Juggernaut DD looking for it. Chakram will not stop Mind Control from just walking away. He doesn't want to use the blink. He needs it to be the aggressive jump forward. They get rid of one of the Observer Wards, but actually they get both of the Observer Wards thanks to a good sentry placement from Liquid. Tier 2 tower falls, but that's not the objective. The objective is going high ground with this. That's what TNC need. But it's still a hard ask.
Indeed. And that mid tower staying up for them is quite nice. That represents so much map control. And I like this move as well. They're going to X back the Jug, but he's going to clear 2 full creep waves beforehand. It's a really nice way to ensure that you maintain map control. Don't let Liquid send some shadow illusions up top and potentially threaten your tier 2. You want to be able to just keep doing this. You're playing bottom Dire Shrine, now move to the top. Just continue sweeping the map, switching from side to side, kicking Liquid out of their jungle.
Yep. And it's making it really difficult for Shadow. He's almost at the top lane.
Yep.
While that puts him out of position. The one Observer Ward that was able to survive saw Liquid go into their own jungle. And if Liquid wants to get into their own base, right now, they have to TP. Or they're going to walk through the very flexible lines of TNC.
Yep. TNC is being they're a little confused. They're not quite sure how they want to play this. You can see Timbersaw is like running to the creep wave, stepping back, running back. He's just not quite sure what they're looking to do.
Yep.
This is what you want, though. Gabby, look at where he's cutting mid. He's so aggressive. You want Timbersaw now on the bottom area of the map. Just continue cutting these waves. Once they're dead, cut the map. And that's exactly what they're doing right now.
They're running forward. The Shadow Blades are out, so is the smoke. It's going to break on Tim's. GH with the haste ring comes around the back of him, but it's the Timbersaw looking for the initiation. You'll separate up from Razor, makes the combination difficult to get with the Undying Tombstone and Decay. Maybe Team Liquid have the strength to fight this. Everyone gets war cried up. They're focusing down Armel, trying to bring down this Kunkka. They can't do the damage, especially when he's protected by Snowball. Now Chainfrost flying forward, goes back down to Mind Control. Is trapped down here with the cause, but then again, you've already lost your Kunkka. They did the damage. Gabby, Omnislash, over on the side. Where's your lifesteal? Where's your Sunder? He couldn't even get it off. There was no target that properly presented itself. Timbersaw, there's no tree to hook onto, and Liquid will back out. It was a 1-for-1, and they need to repair their bottom lanes and mid lane.
You are fine with that with both teams. Well played by both sides. Armel made a nice, cool move. He got forced forward by the Tusk, baited out the Yules from Matumbaman, and then hit with the full combo. Kill was nearly finished off by the Timbersaw, but just not enough damage. And then they do end up killing the Timbersaw. Jug took a long time getting to that fight because he killed the Tombstone all by himself, blew the spin for it as well, and he is the one with the Aegis. So promising from Liquid, though, to only lose the one.
Yeah. And it was really an unfortunate situation, too. You knew Shadow wanted to have a Sunder target, but TNC never presented one, and the Juggernaut and Omnislash, it just doesn't exist.
I like this from York. He's going to go the Crimson into the Medallion. He's going to go Solar Crest next. This helps your Jug. There's no natural steroid on the team to help Jug find kills. He's this burst damage carry. This will allow him just more sieging power if you use it on the Juggernaut. If you use it offensively, all of a sudden, a lot of these heroes just go down to negative armor.
I love the build from GH. He's done it again. Gabby, very aggressive up on the top. That's roll, blinding light, push him back, trying to protect their Sven as much as possible. This 3 position needs to be the front line tanker, and Kuro's looking to steal all that strength, make it easy to find the kill, but Mind Control, they force off him, but the wrong direction. They need to push him in. Matumbaman stealing a large chunk of damage out of Gabby, but with the Chain Frost, Sven's already gone down. The Ignis buys a little bit more time. It's up on the hill, so it's not a great position for TNC to get in there and fight. It's just non-stop coddle spam, but it's better when you X marks a spot, pull back in Kuro. Man, they really hate that Undying. He's just making it difficult to keep the life.
Oh, they're going to X him back. Nice. This is so smooth from TNC. They're playing this game very fast. They look to end this now.
Look at it. The fact that Shadow has still not returned. His TP scroll is available, but the rest of Liquid says just don't come back.
But he's not at a tower yet. He's not actually applying pressure on the map. And Gabby...
Oh, Kuro. He's going down. Soul Ripple's on cooldown for 1 second. He will take a fall. Metamorphosis is up, the Terrorblade can
Shadow's
fight.
Still not on the lane.
It's like they just don't want him there. Coddle pushed in, great 4-staff in and he couldn't get himself away. No buyback available because he spent the money. Now Shadow will join the fight, but is this too little too late? Matubman, there goes the Aegis Immortal, timing out, so Gabby is now actually vulnerable. Not to mention Matubman stealing over 200 damage, ready to inflict it. Mind Control stuns off cooldown in 2 seconds time. He wants a good target. It's Armel, but the sharp block from Tims. Liquid can't chase the target they want. They've got a Timbersaw. That's the worst target for them. At least Matubman's got some extra damage to try and break through him. The Tims, Snowball, looking for the save. He'll actually end up rolling over towards Matubman, who does bring down the Timbersaw. Ninja Boogie ready to fight. Omni Slash is up, bouncing through. It's with all the creeps, however. Conker finally going to be brought down. Gabby goes into the spin. Matubman with a triple kill. Unbelievable sustain, unbelievable damage. And Gabby, he's got no way to get out of this. No, he does! The Manasile dodges the Storm Ball. They thought they had that one in the bag. Gabby will run as fast as he can. Healing Ward's available. This will give some more life. Underneath the Observer Ward, he's got the information. He runs close to the Dire Base, but Mind Control comes with him. Kill the Healing Ward. The tower will do that for him. And Gabby is just wasting the time of Team Liquid. He'll die under the tier 4 towers. The kill does go the way of Matubman, but damn! Liquid, they just kept going on TNC.
That was very well played. They knew big cooldowns were down. No Lich ults, no Kunkka boat, and the Timbersaw was low mana. Matubman sees his opportunity to just immediately roll through with heavy aggression. Shadow comes in with the fortuitous TP as well. They just had way too much damage. And there's your issue with Jug ulti. That didn't do a damn thing. He did that into the Sven Warcry, and that right there is a perfect example of my problem with the overvaluing of this hero in this meta. If you can just survive the Omni Slash, what does the hero do?
Sometimes it works absolutely wonderful. We saw Ramses play a fantastic Juggernaut, but there's only so many times you can have this. Now, all that space that was created, as well as like the farming, a full Skadi completed on Shadow. Maybe that was the other part of the instruction. Don't fight until Aegis is gone. We do not want to initiate. We do not want the fight. We don't care how much we lose. Even a later frags, that's not the game.
You could see TNC. I don't feel like they were ready. They were not playing like they had a Roche timer in mind. That sound, you hear it despawn, and all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, we got to get out of here. It's too little too late. Matubman with this item build has so much closing speed. A Yash and a Yules, he's at 450 MS.
He's going for AC as well after this. There's no building in for Manta or SMY or Kai or anything like that. He's just going straight in for the armor change up now.
It's the perfect decision, really. They know, like, you avoid the Timber, you try and just avoid Chakram at all times. The Juggernaut and the Kunkka are the ones that are going to really deal damage. And bear in mind, Kunkka, the W has changed. It's no longer a pure damage cleave, it's physical damage, so you just keep stacking that armor. You already have the Vlads on Sven, you're going to have the Warcry. Like, this is so much armor, man.
They're going in, looking for the fight. Already Kuro down. It was Liquid who wanted to be the aggressors. They were moving forward, trying to hunt the Timbersaw, but it does not happen. And I'm looking at a double damage Juggernaut who wants to join the rest of his team.
And they're ready to rock and roll.
But look where Shadow's farming. He's on the far side. His illusions are actually cutting the creep wave. So after GH arrives on top lane, or the cleave from Mind Control, the creep wave is gone, the backdoor regeneration's out. Now that's why I like this kind of build from GH, where he can do this, Shadow can do this as well. They both just creep skip.
This is what we saw VP do yesterday as well to great effect, where they would lose a hero here and there, but they would cut creep waves almost before, like they would recognize that, cut the waves, and all of a sudden, yeah, sure, you killed our Undying, but look at where TNC, like they're actually the ones forced to walk back and alleviate pressure in their own lanes. It's just so smart from Liquid, and it's so impressive too to consider this team playing with a stand-in that for a couple of days was in the hospital, does not speak English, they can't really communicate too well, and yet somehow they still look like one of the best teams in the world.
They create the space, you ping the same level of communication you need in your pubs to tell your core, hey, let's go in for this. The blasting in towards mid, jump forward. They look for the Kunkka once again with the Static Link. So much damage under the Ignis and the Blinding Light. They look for a save, but the Snowball, he'll come back out of it, and Tims realizes the horrible situation. He has a Matubman bearing down with 113 stolen damage. They even look in to go deeper over towards the Timbersaw. Matubman won't be able to catch up to him. Gabby's already left the fight. Ninja Boogie is hiding in the trees. He's following HY's advice. Don't leave there. Not unless you got a TP scroll out, which he does. You may need to use it.
Mind Control Matubman have. I mean, Matubman has showed up. This man is 9-0-0.
Yep.
You know, I've heard him called like the least useful player on Liquid. He's proving that, hey, just because I have to play second fiddle to Miracle all the time doesn't mean I can't ball out too.
I don't even think that. Like, I remember always, like, you remember the old days of TC.
Oh, come on, no one rememers that.
No one remembers that. He was Mr. Consistent. He was actually, his core hero was Razor. And never got any kind of praise because always outshined by the rest of his team. But it's the one guy who will stick in there and make things work. Matumberman is exactly that.
Yeah, Mind Control playing a great game too. And
yeah.
You can feel TNC. They're suffering a bit due to the lack of initiation. Sure, you have Kunkka, but he's dropped the net worth. And it's the same build we saw yesterday. The Shadow Blade, he has this great start, but into a Halberd.
Could someone also tell Mind Control to not go the AC because they're going to have two of them? We talk about great communication.
They'll figure it out.
Hopefully. Gabby, the Frost Shield's up pretty early. He blinks away. And that's problematic for Team Liquid. They want to have that stolen damage. They mainly want to make sure the Juggernaut does very little damage in the team fights. Yep. All that stolen damage, you want to go into Omni Slash, good luck.
Like, who cares? They don't care. They're running away from TNC because look behind them. Oh, is Shadow Illusion killing the creep wave? No way. And they're just so smart about waves. It's so frustrating playing against Liquid because you feel like you're not actually battling the team. You're battling the creep waves that inevitably find their way onto your side of the map, no matter how far ahead you are. 4K advantage for
Pink's
Liquid.
Coming out.
Arcane Root on GH.
Sentry on Observer. They come up to the high ground, and once again, Kunkka, the primary target. They don't want the boat. The Chain Frost is good, but the BKBs are protecting them. The boat will hit by the Ignis. It causes so many problems. There's no one that can focus on it. Kunkka's on the run, but Matumban's going to solo him down. While further to the south, that's where the bigger fight happened. Two heroes dropped. Now they move their attention over towards Gabby. On the run, you are just slowing down every cooldown you've got with Chakra into the Juggernaut. Gabby's down. Timbersaw does the only thing he can do for his team. Creep skip it out. Delayed this game.
Amazing target selection from Sven. We're talking about Kunkka. He's the only real initiation for the side of TNC once we're this late into the game. Sure, there's a Tusk, but he needs to try and snowball save. He can't be the guy moving forwards when you consider he's got 8 armor against this draft of Liquid. And every single fight, Mind Control finds Armel.
Yep.
That wins the fight. He gets a full link off on Matumba. That's it. You have a Scotty Terrorblade. Like, the Juggled, once again, did nothing but tickle. I don't know how TNC get back into this with Liquid playing as sharp as they are.
The AC is completed over on the Razor. Mind Control did buy the Hyperstone, so he's kind of a little bit locked into finishing up the Assault Cuirass, but you're fine. If one of them dies, you'll have another follow-up.
Yeah.
Obviously, the effects don't stack.
Yeah, well,
unless he wants to go, well, he can't even go Sheaves because he didn't start with Plate Mail.
Yeah, and this, look, check out the Timbersaw. I mean, this was the hero we expected to carry. Like, you don't really have a counter.
The easy Timber game, no counter.
I liked it at first, but now you got to question. Crimson, Medallion, Lotus, no, he's not scaling. He's somehow 5th in net worth behind a Sven that went Vlad's Blink.
Is this game one of the last series? Like, we had that question mark about, like, hey, it's a great Timbersaw game, but your sustain's not great. The Crimson Guard doesn't really seem to have an effect when you get so much stolen, like, damage into Matumberman. Not to mention the amount of damage output from Terrorblade when it switches into Metamorphosis now. It will cut through everything.
Yep. It's tough. And Jug, he has a Blink Dagger. He's going to go Scotty, but Gabby, is that item going to do anything here? I don't feel like you're going to be in a position to chase and find further kills. Illusion clear, Mjolnir. I mean, there's so much physical damage reduction on the side of Liquid. I feel like Mjolnir is the only. It really doesn't matter, though. I don't think you ever do enough damage, Toby. Maybe if you had a donation of 10,000 gold from a friendly viewer.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We don't have pay to win. Not in Dota 2. All heroes unlocked. Everyone has to earn it the old-fashioned way. Nice little snipe on the Dire Courier.
Take
that. Look like anything big was on it. The BKB is now completed for the Kunkka. This may allow Armel, who has been target number...
Or not.
It works. We know it works. Nobody saw this. Nobody saw this.
And I would have liked this BKB to be online.
He actually needs it right now if they were going to have any kind of chance of defending the top tier 2 tower.
You have a meta available. I think if you're the side of Liquid, you wait for the MKB to be finished up on the Terrorblade. But I really wish this
Gabby.
BKB on the Kunkka was up when they were going high ground.
Starts to spin out. Have they got the damage output? Not enough. Mind Control even committed the God Strength for it. But they didn't find the kill. It was the creep skipping that kept the creep wave out, which means the backdoor regeneration just protects the tier 2. When they look towards GH, he's too fast with Blink and Force. And even if they do get on top of him, Ghost Scepter is already on this coddle.
Yep, they're not in any hurry to close this game out. I expect they will claim a couple of towers while they have that Aegis. No courier, so unfortunately Shadow won't be able to finish his MKB. But you're just so powerful. Like, look at the armor disparity. Terrorblade is at 50. Razor approaching 40 as well.
Yep.
And then you look around at the... Like, when a Timbersaw is like the 4th or 5th most armor in a game, you know you're in trouble.
All the illusions become range. Metamorphosis out. It's actually going to tank the Chain Frost at the very beginning. Okay, guys, split a little bit more than this. Split a little bit. Okay, maximum bounces, sure. Creep Wave is gone. Juggernaut is looking to do exactly the same thing again. They're creep skipping it. The same play that Liquid went for. TNC is like, anything you can do, I can do better.
Yep, and this is the power of Jug in a game where you have no spin TP cancel, and you won't unless somebody picks up an Abyssal, and I don't think that's going to come out on anyone anytime soon.
Yeah, you get that. Maybe that's a better item for Mind Control to go.
Yeah, look at him. He's actually just Gabby.
He's waiting. It's like, your barracks is under attack. Your barracks is under attack. Spam out the announcement to at least make him look behind themselves, just in case you weren't aware that Gabby is there. But this ain't a team up moment.
Yeah, the concern,
they're very much aware.
The concern is that, yeah, sure, Gabby, he's continuing to accelerate. He's doing a great job by delaying this game, but his 2 other cores are being outscaled, and he's in a position where you're against a Razor and a Terrorblade. This is a near impossible Jug game if you're trying to solo carry, and right now that looks like what his responsibility is if he's actually going to get his team to that victory. Just, I love the itemization, but Tumpleman, his next item will be a Satanic. Who needs BKB? He hasn't even used it yet, has he? No, once. He'll just be so tanky.
He's the frontline sustain behind the MKB of Shadow, who just wants to like hit the crap out of everything. I like how he doesn't even go reflect, not required. It's the talent into the +10 stats. Like, we've got double Ignis available, thanks to the fact that GH has just bought a full refresher orb.
Yeah, this team fight now from Liquid is insane. You have the Tombstone on Death from Kuro, so like double Tomb potential, double Ignis with the incredible raw damage of the 3 high physical damage cores. Like, it's going to be tough for TNC.
Yep. And you can see the way that Liquid were drawing the lines. It's like, okay, guys, we need to push in this top lane. It's our most exposed racks. Gabby, oh, is there fortification not available? He'll actually take the top range racks. They need to push this out. They can't allow this to continue.
Yeah, the Manta Illusion from Shadow is going to deal with that now.
And then they just run down mid. They clean up the wave pretty quickly. Top racks can continuously be attacked, but once Liquid enter the base, they will push harder and faster.
Yeah, you can see Sven actually, he's going to keep the casual Hyperstone, but he's going to be going into that Daedalus. You could push here if you're Liquid, but you have a lot of gold saved up. You're near Satanics. You have 4,000 gold on both Razor and TB.
And with no Aegis Immortal and just the cheese, they've lost that big advantage. But Shadow, they got Tombstone down. Kura's got the Death Tombstone. He wants to try and beat him this fight. Here comes your ship. Shadow has to back off. He'll be hit by it, but Battlement just moves in with Mind Control. They start the static link. Not a lot of stolen damage. Lich will have to buy back. The Ignis protecting them to kill off this mid-melee Rax. That's all Liquid wants. The Chain Frost will not bounce. Mind Control slowly walk down far enough to get it out the other way. Remember, Shadow also, he's holding on to that Sunder. They'll flip him. He's got the lifesteal if he wants it, but with the BKB protection and Matumberman just being an absolute baller, they've already got the first kill. They'll move for a second with the Plasma Field. They kill off the buyback of Ninja Boogie, so dieback from him. Timber Chain away will protect the Timbersaw. Gabby, 4-star down. Matumberman still saw 131 points of damage from him, as we will have a quick pause. The mid lane of Rax totally taken, and Liquid look for a second.
Yeah, they know they can't go top. They just pinged it out. They were a little distracted chasing kills, so they're going to rotate towards bottom where the tier 3 is targetable.
Yep.
Lich is down forever. No buyback.
So no Chain Frost from him. Kunkka ship's already back up. You still got Omnislash available. Metamorphosis is now just run out, and they make the most of it. Instantly jumping onto Terrorblade. He still needs a stun to target. He needs one. Where is one? He found it, but it's Timbersaw. He was loaded up. Oh no, Shadow. Not what he wants. Now Razor has to do the hard work. Consumes the cheese. Already took 250, 262 damage. He's ready to pump it in under the cover of this second Ignis of GH. They will try and fight, then take a second lane of Rax. Timber comes back out again, but Razor, you'll just start all over with the BKB protection. Kuro actually gets the kill against Tims, thanks to the Stormbolt and the Warcry of Mind Control. Even God Strength, they want to keep this pressure up. Armel, so low on mana, so low on everything. But Matumba, remember what you came for, objective-based gaming. That melee Rax must go down. One more attack will do it. And now they can leave. Blink, but not too early. BKB, and that'll cancel the X marks the spot back. Liquid got 2 lanes of Rax, and the only lane they haven't taken now is that top.
Mind Control is so impressive to watch. I know this has been the Matumba Man show, obviously Shadow as well, top net worth, but this is the Mind Control show. Like, he is so good. He seems to have this sixth sense about his cooldowns, about his targeting, who he needs to go for. He was the one finding those kills on Lich.
And now he's actually a huge damage dealer. Turn the Hyperstone into a Daedalus. This really feels like the one position Sven's you have, but he's running it as a 3.
It's just, TNC, man, I don't know if this lag going away is going to help your chances in this one. Liquid just went up there with an 11,000 gold lead, but between just their 3 cores, they had held on to about that much. And yet they still had the confidence to just dive high ground and break the game, bust the game wide open. Like you can see, Gabby, yeah, sure, you killed a lot of creeps, but what about the heroes, baby?
That's where you get your big money. And the Satanic is almost done for Terrorblade, so maybe now Shadow can stop worrying about how many, what's the target that I can sunder, and especially don't do it on the Lotus Orb Timbersaw. That was a bit of a...
And you can see this is the same thing VP did in the game they were playing Terrorblade against Jug. Yeah, you're going to lose your lane, but these are experienced teams. Even though he had to rotate to the jungle at level 3, at a certain point, you are a counter to Jug. He cannot kill you.
Speaking of Jug,
you kill everything.
I mean, speaking of Kunkka, we weren't really speaking of him. Up on top lane, he'll run away. Dust is not in range, so he's away to safety. But the rest of the support coming in from TNC, 4 heroes smoked up. Observer wards get planted down.
Control.
The Illuminates slants forward. They really want to get this kill onto GH in the back lines. Remove the Ignis, but he 4-stars up. He may even still be able to get it down. GH blinks down and then gets the Ignis. Gabby's Omnislash. It does absolutely nothing. While Shadow has the high ground and all the illusions. Rior is in the middle of Team Liquid. He'll be able to get up the hill, but they chase him down with a Reflect. They want this kill on Timbersaw, and Mind Control is there to cancel the Timber chain out. We can jump back over to the Matumbaman show. He's looking towards the snowballing Tims, protected by Ghost Scepter, but that just lets Matumbaman have more time to steal the damage and pump it into Tims. He can't even get out of range of the static link with a great shards. Gabby is battling his own one. Why are we having this? I feel like we're watching like WWF right now. We got one battle in this corner, another battle in this corner. Gabby has to creep skip, begins his spin TP out, and this will be successful.
GH runs in a circle around him 3 times. I love that. Just a bit for the memes, and in the meantime,
up at top,
this is going to be a dead Rax, most likely. 23,000 gold lead for Team Liquid.
Unless Kunkka can get a huge hit, he's looking for it. Starts with a ship, the Torrent, but then Warcry. So much life, even for the illusions, they can't get through it. Mind Control can just tank it in, and the Omni Slash, oh, it does, well, little. There's actually nothing to be had here. Sven will fall. Kuro does drop down the tombstone. Armel burns the BKB, but he's out of mana. And Matumbaman, it's his show timing. They just go forward. So much stolen damage. Pump it into the Lich. Pump it into the Juggernaut. He has to spin just in case, but Matumbaman, he's going in deep. He wants the kill on Gabby. A little too deep.
He's got Satanic.
He needs something, but yeah, with a Satanic, he can get more life, but they're just flipping him around. Scepter something. Matumbaman, he didn't want to do it. He'll end up dying, but they do claim mega creeps. But Matumba's having a bit of fun. Time for Shadow to do exactly the same. BKB's up, still no metamorphosis, but it's mind control. Huge damage thanks to that Daedalus, just cleaving through Armel. Now Gabby's turn to stand there on the front lines. He's got the Moonshot for the attack speed. Another 3-man stun, and the buyback of Matumba puts him on the front lines. A Tusker Snowball will save his life for the moment, but he goes Matumba and blinks back down towards the pit. Mind control just throwing out stuns left, right, and center, but they're looking for the win. They're looking for the tier 4 towers. Liquid have played this game so patiently, and now they just need it to end.
Get ready for the blink double Ignis Fatus. GH is ready. He's watching and waiting. They're going to try and wipe him one more time.
Together. Number 1, number 2. He caught 3. Juggernaut will spin back out of it, but everyone else goes absolutely nowhere. GG. Liquid will take game 1 against TNC. Still smart play from both teams, but Liquid, they just brute forced it over.
I mean, even though they're playing with the stand-in, Liquid just seem a tier above TNC. Even though they were taken out by them in a recent tournament, it just doesn't seem like they care. Just well played, well executed. I fear any game plan that involves you thinking you can beat Team Liquid before 30 minutes, because they are the best at just making you chase them around the map until they have the lead.
And they always get it from like one of their heroes or two of their heroes. In this case, it was GH. Like it felt like the Keeper of the Light, his signature hero, even though it's been reworked, now I actually think it's even stronger hero for GH to play. It was just him and the Undying. It was just GH and Koro that stopped what should have been the aggressive lane taking a tier 1 tower really early.
Yeah, that's the difference maker, right? Like, they slowed down the pace of the game solely because they have this coddle. And again, the movement too. Yeah, they lost those bottom 2 towers, but they lose those and not the ones top, which are going to be more valuable because they move the Sven towards the top lane. Now coddle's bottom. You have to invest so much from TNC just to get those easy towers. And the game, it's just a slower pace. And eventually Liquid, they take that one fight, and it almost feels inevitable. They will win.
Yeah. Absolutely love it from Team Liquid. 1 game up. Will they 2-0 it? Or will we actually get pushed to a third with some great play from TNC? We'll find out after the break.